Hi, everyone. Welcome to White Noise. My name is Robyn, and I am your host today. I'm really trying not to laugh right now because David is experimenting a little bit with the video. As you can see, we're trying something new out here. We're a little artsy over here at White Noise. We like to keep things fresh and enlivened all the time. So, yeah, someone said this looks like a death mask. I think that's cool. I said it looks like kind of like Ex Machina, where they're this like translucentness to the body's kind of AI-ified. It's still me, I promise. It's just another version of me, I guess. So, yeah, well, how am I gonna open this? Well, I did want to mention something pretty cool that's going on in my life right now, which is that I am moving to Kingston, finally. It's crazy because I think ever since I started White Noise 5 years ago, I've wanted to live in Kingston, and now it's happening. So, is it because it's been 5 years? Is it something about the number 5? I think that is exactly what it is, actually. I think there's something significant about that. 5 is the number of change. It's the year 2025. Sorry for the sirens. The year 2025, when I was 25 years old, was one of the most pivotal years of my life. A lot changed, and I don't really know what else to say except that I'm really excited to live here. I'm very grateful that it all worked out. If you're interested to learn more about my journey, I wrote about it for this kind of cool publication I work for called the Kingston Wire. You can read about it on there. Hi. So that's kind of the deal right now. My brain is kind of in moving mode, but it's also kind of here. And I'm excited for our open mic tonight. I'm just rambling at this point, so we're just going to get started. You guys can just walk around. Sorry, the screen is also a little disorienting still to me. So we're gonna get started now. I believe we also don't have a feature tonight. I'm just gonna preface that because we usually do, but there were some scheduling things that came up and we were unable to do that this month, but that's okay. So first up on the open mic list, I believe, is Peter. So, Peter, welcome to the stage.
Three or four poems. This one is called I Want to Consummate Everything. I want to consummate everything, even placid being. Forget the plump jar of sackcloth and ash for bespoke transgressions, secularized by the past. Draped in tomfoolery, portended by jewelry, glimpsed in a moment, inalienably transmigrating. I want to consummate everything. Centaurs and ants, withering plants, dugs, dried jugs, liars, including friars, peeling their placative being. I want to consummate everything. Philanthropic charges from vegetable gardens, scurrilous barges from the Ganja to the Arctic, even when it rains on your picnic. I want to consummate everything. Rare Luna marble, the rasp, the remarkable. Dates, figs, and to close, one black pig. Minced before gathering, fields fallow, so entrancing. gray as I, all measures of time, not even visible being. I want to consummate everything, from the wedge of your lip to the hulls of your hip, regardless of girth, flexibility. I want to consummate everything, the negative space of conventional disgrace, altruists in chains for having applied by self-gain, divinity's thumb in the rub of self-censure, alacrity numbed by messianic erasure, dinner left cold on the plate, even quite wealthy being. I want to consummate everything, as long as duration outlasts what's been left to the past, from asymptote to tote to conditionals invoked, especially preciously dearly. To the next I digress, consummate no more, to not rob myself the horn of plenty. That nothing is everything that all can be. Everything nothing, totalitarian degree. Repeated immoderate, specific abstract, mnemonics cathartic, catatonic in fact. Appetized to monetize, realize, react, embolized and eulogized, euthanized or intact. Retarded, outsmarted, embryonic or detained, improvised, anesthetized, appraise or disdain. Amplified, reified, elegized for embrace, consummate everything, Persephone's grains. This is Apocalypse Rendezvous in the Tempered Garden. Now Misters Li Po and Tao Yan Ming belch in another Bardo era. Someone had the temerity to witness briefly like a boy plays toy with mud and a stick. Not long after dissipation inherits another moment's grace does patience call the wrath of the green god, a moat of water lilies dressed as duckweed. The irrigation ditch was an excuse for remorse, flowing water to collect ions, the way he told you about, speckled tricks for repose to bear. When disgrace loses its edge for a blend of memory and desire, there's only improvised light to bear, nothing militant about it, except for fear of collaboration with the wrong hymn. The shock of nothing to be appalling to the one past appalled is like placing a bet against a bear eating honey. Mellifluous, garbled jewels on either side of an onyx globe pose the difference between time and duration. Not a bardo, but a heaven, some pavilion, many, another said, where temperance plays with the whole hog, postage and all. This is Only Messages Report for Duty. I'd rather be a civilian than a monkey pawning God and a keychain. Wherever cadence has a heartbeat, you can bet mathematics aren't far away. Mr. Zimmerman, nay Excalibur, could have just as easily been judged illiterate as some milkmaid. Not to jest as though craftsmanship were any easier to pen than to shoulder crates. The idea at its zenith pulls me scant like some metaphor of a freight train. Restless nights, a tired sinistry, the end of voices conquered emptiness unwillingly. Make a person watching grasses grow important for the melody of vapidness. I look at every side of it, find hidden walls inside the curtain of your hourglass. Some measurable miles away, the girls howl for someone else's wickedness. Simple songs sung on a podium call importance for a trial on relevance. Hello, how are you, jurisdiction? Willow tree blows on the border of the DMZ. Thread of silk made in someone's eye waited patiently so you might say hello back for once. Threat of fear, another smell you like to keep the show from getting too 4D. Below the rock, a centipede scurries to ask, who is it, am I? You say, not I plagiarize, the world's a sham, but can you buy me lunch? A couple cheaters lied themselves to grace and couldn't help but untangle yarn for divinity's sake. Apartheid in the crux of fate, that's candy commercial in a bed of lace. Voices echo, it is sin we hate, but hypocrisy we don't like to admit to date. Syllogism of a cankle sore, a blind spot for the time I like to run away. Elegy in distant time only matters if I can abrogate the should I make. Everything a borrowed cadence, like the chief who sang about scar tissue and Barney's grace. Or the man who turned sideways towards the bomb, at a time the storm could make a desert break. Or the one who taught you avenues that might curtail Ichabod's disgrace? Or the one who got fat on everything pleasure would prize to keep itself in shape? Or the one who sent messages in foils every time you required a lifted gate? Simply put, the sound of silence, recompense for the fours you put before today. The one who liked his heroin, the one who drank his beer, the one who liked to run around, spray pathogens, and leer. Another one you could hardly guess, 4 glasses for 4/4 of a day. The universe gleamed pretty, in his hand a strand of hay. I don't need to feel emotional to be with the one I seem to have lost, his cadence drawn to a pitch like rose fallow thorns. Only messages report for duty, retrograde your hand. And here's the last one called Prologue. Under some visionary cloud, making things straight, worthless garbage destined for the trash heap, no less worthy even for a Buddhist, sole possessor of opulent jewels, hiding where everyone goes, triangulation ceremony for disadvantaged losers, the thing at its zenith while the simulation fakes its ruin. Never mattered more or less than now. Announcement for plagiarists, record keepers, and Bergson. Letter from Al Gore's paradox to algorithmic enthusiasts. Unannounced vespers every moment before lunch. Singing softly to oneself while pretending to be tortured. Epilogue divorce hymn for unaccustomed travelers. Singing softly to oneself while pretending to be tortured, part 2. Category machine driveling silent conjecture on Dionysus's brood. Paying taxes as a metaphor, as a means of avoiding oneself, as a means of feigning agency for mom and dad. Scapegoat therapy as a means of paying figurative taxes, as a means of avoiding oneself, as a means of feigning capacity to pay figurative taxes. Self-pinata, or suspended in-air projection therapy. Blase Trinity God, molecule of water. Clarity roosts like cardinal directions, temperance aversion by way of temperance disciplined. Sufficient time in a day to accede to divinity. Whoring wasteland for structured evangelists. Distilling grace so as to hedge the markets. Electric envelope sealed tidies dust in the corner. Disowning Abraham for the sake of linearity. Pencil coffin resurrection in a time like solace. Spendthrift millionaire plays the rosary on mute. Word salad envy game to make space for election. Making space or else the idea of fruition remains intellectual. Justification certitudes inherit causes like the pox. Shut up and keeping silence without recourse to explanation. Postmark ritual yap beyond the last ding dong of doom.
That was fantastic. I thought those were some really strong ones of yours. I feel like the sounds they were making were very almost nursery rhyme-esque in the best way. I really enjoyed the way that you performed it as well. And I have other thoughts, but I'm not going to extrapolate on everything right now. I do want to say one thing that so I got up here in the beginning and I forgot absolutely everything that I wanted to say, which happens to me every time I do this, it seems. But I wanted to say that I just wanted to kind of take a moment to honor the life of Charles Dennis, because I did hear that he passed yesterday. He was a champion of the arts in the Hudson Valley and in Kingston specifically. He held a lot of performance art events in the area for many years, and from the city originally, from what I know. I wrote about his events many times, and I just heard of his passing, and as a fellow member of that community, I just wanted to take a moment to honor him, because I feel like that's a part of, you know, the white noise that we do here at White Noise, is both for the people who are here and the people who are no longer. So, yes. moving on, I also wanted to apologize to Gary for skipping over him. But next up is Gary Siegel, and then up next is Leaf. So welcome, Gary.
Okay. Thinking about being in tune, noticing the nuances, seeing the signs. And as I come upon a hidden cove and am delighted to see scores of white gulls, I settle in to commune with the wildness that I feel so connected to. A few gulls take flight, and it is picturesque, some in the air, some upon water. More take to the air, and more, and then they take to the sky. A beautiful display, I think, as a group of them begin to hightail it away from my particular ass. Within 30 seconds, every last gull and a few ducks have vacated. The cove that was so full of life and movement is now done, vacated, empty, de-aviated. Sometimes nature just ain't kind. There's no way they were going to be around this gringo human. Not a sandpiper was left. Nothing outside the vegetable kingdom deigned to stick around. And I gazed the cove, now empty of movement, and sighed. Got a little slowing down to do yet. Still gringo after all this time. Thank you. All right, old tree. Old tree sounds a little bit like olfactory. Old tree, late in its days, moss moving up, not waiting for it to fall. When it does, the forest in that spot will brighten, which will favor different sproutings, different rottings, different lichens, green as only lichen can be green, and in splattered spots, that vibrant coral-colored tip. The vibrancy hidden in the pale lichen green is now showing itself, balancing everything. And when it falls, the tree will remain a member of the ever-changing, ever-family, ever-living, ever-dying sister-brother who stands and walks and crawls upon this sacred earth. Okay, thanks. Whether or not. He stepped into the room and many eyes turned to receive his presence. He carried a bit of the night with him. You could feel it. The wind and the night were wrapped around him like a flowing shawl. I'd never seen this before, but this time it was palpable, like the gods of perception were dozing for just a few moments. And this was it, and it was gone. After that, he was just like anyone else in the room, and there was this basic cheery glow all around. I think that's what had happened all around us that night. And each smile and each meeting of eye to eye blew that weather in, wove that atmosphere through. And later, I went out alone into the dark of the night. I stood there. The sky was quietly magnificent, and lights through a tinted window joined in with that expansive presence. And it seemed, if I allowed it, that those winds blowing in from all corners of this place carried traces of where they'd been. And I, in a mixing bowl, felt traces of this, traces of that, traces, a soft whispering, mostly wise. Thank you. And, I haven't looked at my face. Yeah, okay. And just a little haiku-esque finish. Pulsations. Fireflies, subtle grace. A felt but elusive synchrony. On and off like quantum fields.
Okay. You're right? All right. Yeah. You know, that's the sign of a powerful reading. Yes, very. Which it was. Those were really strong pieces. The second to last one especially. Really loved that. And your haikus is always incredible. Thank you. Next up, we have Leaf. And after Leaf, we have Will Nixon. Welcome.
Yeah, I was like, oh, do I have to go to that thing? Can I just? But then there was the red squirrel was yelling at me through the window, chattering. You know, red squirrel. I mean, the gray squirrels are hyper, but the red squirrels are, you know, it's like they got like a special crack for the red squirrels. I don't know what's in those nuts. In fact, where I live, constantly the red squirrel, which is a third of the size, maybe a quarter of the size, a little tiny thing, is constantly chasing the gray squirrel onto the roof. I have all windows around my bedroom where I watch way too much YouTube, as many people do these days. It's like an epidemic, you know. We probably should start what do you call it, YouTube Anonymous? Yeah, I think we should. I should probably start it, now that I've said it, although that would just give me something else to do. We can always watch YouTube while we're doing it, right? Yeah. But it's kind of how all these things work. I know somebody was telling me once, like, oh, whenever you go to those things, everybody's like ODing on sugar, right? Donuts, pastries. Anyway, we were talking to Gary. I said, well, it's like, does anybody know what the Federal Reserve? I said, do you know what the Federal Reserve is? I mean, everybody knows it's the bank, you know, that decides on the interest rates, which, you know, and they buy, they sort of, anyway. But I was thinking, the definition I was thinking was like, it's a parasite. It's a parasite in the country, sucking the blood out of everybody. What is it like? The dollar was worth $1, right? In 1913 when they came along. By the way, I share a birthday with the Federal Reserve, which I'm not really proud of, but December 23rd, there was nobody there. There was nobody there when they introduced the Federal Reserve Act in 1913, you know, before the TV and all that. And even if there had been a TV, nobody would have been paying attention, right? Nobody would have been paying attention anyway. So great time to do it. But yeah, it was worth $1. Now it's worth like 2 cents. Your dollar's worth, like, comparatively. I mean, it sounds insane, but if you look at the chart, that's what it sort of shows. I know I'm supposed to be doing comedy. You're supposed to be doing comedy, whatever that means. I don't know what to say. It's like, you know, look out at the world, and apparently Google's made an announcement. What do they call it? The Google box or something? So you'll just put in what you want, and agentic AI, a version of yourself, will do everything. That's the New World Order, I guess. I don't know. I only heard it briefly. It's kind of new. My point is, I don't know what to tell people. Like, if somebody would ask me, like, what's the smart thing to do? Do you go move into the woods, or do we all surround all the AI data centers and, I don't know, like, piss all over them? We need a lot of piss power, I know, you know what I mean? But, like, I know it's stupid, but what do you do? It's, I mean, on the one hand, I think we have the option to opt out, maybe, I don't know, like, of course, you know, then they're like, oh, we're going to other planets because they're trying to destroy this one with AI, I think. I mean, the thing is, when they say AI, they're like, oh, you can make all these cool videos and you can have an AI agent. It'll do everything for you. All the YouTubers are talking about it. You know, you can run your business and you could be outside with your family. But I think, and other people think, not I think, maybe they're like gonna build them so that they can have a robot fucking army run by AI following you around if you say the wrong thing like I'm doing right now. Yeah, I think that's their dream. That's their jerk off, you know, World Economic Forum, Bilderberg meeting, secret meeting, whatever. They all just went to China, right? You should have just kidnapped them. You know, where are the fucking superheroes when you need them? I mean, what is Batman doing, okay? Is he fucking Catwoman at least? I don't know. I haven't seen the video. Maybe there's a porn video with Batman. I don't know. They won't release it. That's the problem. You know, they're stuck in development hell, all right? You don't have too much longer, I promise. Yeah, I mean, I was supposed to be an actor in a comic, but I remember I was going to go to Hollywood, and I came to the Circle, which they redesigned. Does anybody even remember how it used to look? It was better. Let me just put it to you that way. I have a theory that the mob runs Kingston, and they did they make money on the job. They skim off the top, so they did a new Circle of Hell. And I made a wrong turn and ended up in Kingston instead of Hollywood, okay? That's why I'm here, my head up my ass, getting ready to run for president in 2028 or 2036 or 2040. I don't know. You know, it might take a while to build up to it because you have to be insane to run for president. I mean, I remember asking my mother when I was a kid. I lived in the woods with no TV, no electricity. You know, I never learned adulting. I didn't get that chip. I didn't get, speaking of like school, you go to school, we were talking. They don't tell you what the Federal Reserve is. If I ask almost anybody, hey, what's BIS? Does anybody know? Bank of International Settlements? Nobody knows. It's, they just decide the interest rates that you pay back for loans that are given to countries. Like, I think somebody reduced America's rating. Like, normally we've had Moody's, we have like a triple rating. AAA plus. I don't think we do anymore. I think we've been reduced because, we're a third world country. We're number one, but we're a third world country. Are you coming to pull me off the stage? Is that what's happening? It's about there. So like I didn't get that thing, it was like you read books and you talk and you walk in nature and you smoke pot and you make art and go to movies. We always went to movies before movies were like, in your brain practically. You'd open up, you don't even have to get out of bed. You don't even need a TV. You got a phone, you turn it on. Although for me and my mother, because it was a religion to go to movies. Back when movies were good in the 70s, the high point of movies. And we would go through storms. We didn't care. There could be ice storming out. We would drive 30 miles to go to the fucking movies. So anyway, that's my credentials for running for president. We used to go through the storms to get to the movies. Anyway, I wish you all luck in the AI apocalypse, and maybe I'll see you next month.
So next up we have Will Nixon, and after Will we have Teresa Landy Daniels. Welcome to the stage, Will.
Practice your laughter, no matter how rusty or canned. Announce yourself to the parking meters lonely from lockdown. Recite haiku to the sidewalk that never healed its cracks. Turn the corner with a skip in your step, but immediately turn back, ignoring the don't walk, because there's someone smiling in the window who looks incredibly like you, a lost twin or a clone. Only it is you. The one and only you. Only you need a haircut and shave, you pandemic hermit, you do. They say Rip Van Winkle lived outside of town and ruined his life by leaving his wife to hunt squirrels. But every time the light turns red, you catch a lipstick wink in the window. Even if you're not ready for love, Partition Street has plans. The tattoo parlor coming out of hibernation promises a golden dawn. This is an ode to spring, one of the spring rituals in Socrates, which not just Socrates, but Socrates in particular. It's not the arrival of the birds, it's a little louder than that. I was having brunch out on the sidewalk on a restaurant called Love Bites in May or so, a beautiful blue day. and I heard this sound, and I thought, yes, this is the spring ritual. It's called Motorcycle. Marry my flatulence, motherfucker. Out of my face, you douchebag Corvette. Tattoo my treads right up your candy ass. Once upon a time, I drank fire with dragons and rode with angels, burning past every dickhead cop in creation. Can't no disease stop me now. Back in the saddle, yelling the gospel of 850cc, roaring round partition in Maine, clearing slack out of veins, reminding the bricks who's king. Life as a mechanic can wait for tomorrow. Life as a mechanic can wait for tomorrow. Put a chrome engine between your thighs and ride, motherfucker, ride. Thanks. This is the bookstore in Saugerties. This is I wrote this after Trump 1.0. I was not expecting Trump 2.0, but here we are, the AI apocalypse already. Inquiring minds. Idle inquiring minds, ill-equipped for the bitter new intolerance, the casual poison spilling off tongues, quarreling with history, quarreling with life, quarreling with our undying faith in ourselves as a nation of reason and hope. Ignorance wears riot boots and carries the torch. Rage is the religion in the pulpits at Fox. Inquiring minds, bullied and bruised, need solace and friends, need a latte and a comfy couch to discuss good books. God would approve if you bought her a coffee and menthol cigarettes. She's tired, too, of this hurricane mood, irate shamans of insurrection and their political peddlers. Nobody dares appreciate people as people anymore. Democracy for beginners is still sold on the rack. Shouldn't we begin before we come to the end? And I'll close with this. The oil trains that run through Kingston. Back when the pandemic hit, I would go to my Village Coffee. I would get my oat latte and, my blueberry scone, and I would take them. Before the pandemic, I'd go eat in the back room. Pandemic, the place is closed. I'd go right across the street, and there happened to be a wooden stump right next to the railroad track. So I'd sit there with my latte and my scone. I kind of fantasized that I was Allen Ginsberg and Jack Kerouac hanging out on the train yards of San Francisco with their Tokay wine. So I was trying to have a beatnik moment there as my coffee. And then the trains would arrive. And this is the oil train. The oil trains in particular were the ones that really got me going. Oil trains. Oh, Ginsberg. Oh, Kerouac. My bards of the railroad tracks. I tell you, I celebrated the lockdown by drinking my oat latte late in the morning in the burned weeds by the tracks in hopes an oil train would roar by. 100 black cars, 100 black bombs, rumbling, rich with fracked wealth, singing screech songs of wheels and iron, alarming me at the nothing we do to stop global warming. Yet I'm too cowardly to stand in front of this apocalypse. I can't stop. Nor can I say I didn't love what I hate, this black beast sleek as a pipeline, screaming from its tracks, ride me, baby, ride me to the burning end. Thank you.
Thanks, Will. I always love hearing you read from that book. I feel like it's a different experience every time because it's very, very localized, and I feel like my relationships with these places are constantly changing, hence my feelings towards the poems are always changing. So it's interesting hearing you read them over time. Thank you. Next up, we have Teresa and then Patrick Hammer. Welcome.
Um, AI. Did everybody see the fantasy clip that Trump did of himself grabbing Stephen Colbert by the collar and hoisting him up into a dumpster, closing the lid, and then doing his whatever that is that he does? And it's something else. Okay, I'm going to read the last several poems that they wrote with my group, my poetry critique circle, the Bluestone Poets. That's Will and Patrick and two others. I tend to write very, very long poems and kind of be told cut them in half or cut out half. So these are 4 poems that came out of 2. Yes. Breakdown. I wanted to slip over the lip into the cream of celery soup, the warmth in that cup, the familiar cloak of cream within the walls. The vista swiftly receding, the whole panorama rising and widening from where I sat, curled against the stone rim of the campus fountain, hugging that cup of soup for comfort. If I stood up, it would happen again, feet moving, legs striding, but no feeling of contact with the ground, so I didn't stand to leave. Last night, he was a bunched homunculus of snot and tears and drool on the floor under the thick peeling sill of the open window, an old, low, sturdy ledge with a view over the edge of the urban garbage blown up against the chain link fence 10 stories down. My first lover, sweet and gentle, and another girl's lifelong beau. Open about their open relationship, he was. Test of love, an experiment before marriage, giving each other emotional space at colleges separated by 200 miles. You'd like her. She likes you. He put us on the phone together. Not as awkward on the surface as it could, maybe should have been. Nice to meet you, giggle of girlfriends. Then she traveled up from the island for a face-to-face birthday wish and a formal announcement. She brought her now fiancé, David, a med school intern, 7 years older, with real career potential. I was somehow complicit, painful evidence of his own poor decision, not even considered for solace. Mutual friends would support us both, specialized glue to hold me tight, some different kind for him. Without them, he might have jumped out that dorm hall window, and I might have drowned in my own insides, dissolved into slush, so much cream soup. Thank you. Don't feel obligated. I've got to get the next poem pulled up. Oh, I don't know what it is, guys. Something about this part of the room. What's that? No, I lost the page, and there's no reason for me to have lost it. It was working when I was sitting out in the audience. I hope it doesn't happen again. And this will teach me to print things up instead of expecting them to behave. The second one that came pretty much out of the middle of the last one is called Overprotected. Overprotected, first as a sickly child, then overseen by irrational terms of Catholicism, even after, likely because, I'd lapsed. Rebellious in theory, but a model student. Gaga for rock stars, but never had a boyfriend. Still a virgin at 20. First time away from home, first sex, first drugs, first hard liquor within 2 weeks of arriving on campus. Hasty thrills, heady adventure, my first affair with an outgoing charmer already engaged to his high school sweetheart. Whirlwind autumn ended with a fall. She found a better future husband, tried to let him down easy, but his heart seized and he lost his mind. I was dropped as the reminder of their failed open trial. I tripped on wine and weed as the world fell apart, dazed in a chair by my open window on the top floor of the dorm tower. I saw the cosmic dust gather in a glittering sheet, tighten into a fat slash column, then flow, turn a slick snake loop, and heat sent speed right toward me, exposed to the night air. A direct lightning strike between my legs shot up through my body. I could feel it, but I could not tell through closed eyes where it went. This rush that was God and my father, all his judgment of his atheist daughter, sullied and guilty, the Bach-headed one, mostly mouth, but real rebellion inevitable, am I right? He was right and righteous. Always knew I was headed for trouble and disgrace. All that rush of censure couldn't have stayed trapped inside me. It must have pierced my skull as a ray of light, then headed out as it had come in, through the wide-mouthed window and up into the void, to fan out, dissipate, and dissolve. After leaving its poison, a kind of hex for self-destruction behind, in the hollow of my head and the clench of my heart. Thank you. It's working this time. Good. Let me see where the rewrite is. Okay. The next one is called The Sliverers. Odd title, I know. After his favorite breakfast, bagels and cholesterol, Uncle Pat had room for just a small piece of my Irish mother's best version of his Nonna Conchetta's aniseed coffee ring. Then just another tiny sliv, please. My mother, grinning, plopped the flat cake plate on the table with the cut side toward him and the knife grip ready. We all knew what was about to happen. He would deftly shave one thin sliver of cake after another until he'd eaten a whole half. Then he'd laugh along with whoever let go his inside family joke moniker and teased him as the sliverer. An uncomfortable analogy, this is how I treat time. Up late every night, scrolling word games and depressing news, I set an alarm for at least 6 or 7 hours of sleep. When the alarm rings at 7:30, 9, even 10, I allow myself a large second serving, reset for another half hour, and savor the delicious chunk of time in sweet bites, chewed slowly. At the next chorus of pings like copper pennies rhythmically dropped on porcelain, I reach for snooze, sense tap through narrow slits between my lids. Sweet crumbs of cake lifted by a licked fingertip of dopamine in my short sleep, the same one that stabs snooze for another 5 minutes. But now I'm swatting ants away from the crumbles of this sliver of time. 5 minutes won't fill my tooth, as my mother used to say. I try to explain to myself why I repeat these 3 to 30-minute patterns of procrastination until 10, 11, or an hour or two past noon, trail off again. As dozens of slivers of cake were no good from my father's brother's waistline, adding 1,000 cuts of the clock per week to my inertia, depression, and dread is beyond merely comparable. His quirk, a rare tap dance on a holiday morning, a simple flirty fling with gluttony. Mine, methodical self-sabotage, every thinnest sliver of time like a whisper of death. Thank you. And this is the one that I'm working on right now. It's really short. I won't tell you what I think about it at the moment. It doesn't have a title yet. Sleep is gold, fragile leaf fluttering, wakes to sunrise and blooms, wrapped in humming silk, light as air, warm breath, and lemon balm, adorned with amber the color of honey, in generous drops that sway on delicate gold chains, citrine, topaz, all the gems of golden fresh yellow. Insomnia is cold, tastes metallic, seeks to shut out moon glow and white wind, creaking sills, ghostly muslin flapping. It wears nothing well, tangles crisscross chains of stainless steel, tarnished silver plate, common nickel, and dull leaden lead. Sleeplessness is like aluminum, cheap and overpriced. Thank you.
Thanks, Teresa. Those were all really lovely. All very strong poets tonight. This is such a pleasure. Next up, we have Patrick Hammer. Welcome.
We three are in Albany, on Center Avenue, eating late, ordering plates of Chinese food. Not until we wipe our mouths, sated, do we take notice of the tank behind Will. It's bathed in an eerie blue light, holds 3 large reddish gold fish. Teresa says they're tilapia. Their bulging eyes stare at us. They push each other out of the way to take front and center. They watch our every move. Teresa moves away. The owner comes over, tells us he was down in Manhattan at 5 a.m. buying them, bringing home. I laugh, say, they've had a busy time and probably are thankful we didn't eat them so late in the day. They'll live to see another one at least. Half-hour later, on the New York State Thruway going south to Saugerties, Will muses, what if those fish were thinking we were the lucky ones, and under other circumstances, given a chance, they'd probably have eaten us. True story. What poets will get up to, right? I recently saw online one of the last farm stands and farm areas in Paramus, New Jersey, my hometown, before Fort Lee for 35 years, and now Saugerties for a little over 3, lost the last farm in Paramus. So this is called skunk cabbage. Joy's Farm, in my long ago hometown of Paramus, is no more. The last farm stand and tilled acres to go. All my old friends in the homestead gone as well. I see online the land on Pascack Road sold for senior living. Land in this family for generations, now 332 units, antiseptic, spotless, for independent living, assisted, and memory care. I remember walking the land, not manicured gardens and lush lawns, with Gerald Joy, son, friend, classmate, past the crops, upland to the Devil's Cliff, overlooking the Garden State Parkway. He introduced me to skunk cabbage, foul-smelling, rising in the marshy waters that bordered his family property. Ugly, hooded flowers, all yellow and purple, with big leaves shaped like hearts. In my memory, I see them still, despite bulldozers and construction. I wonder, if I visited the location again, would I find even one languishing on this drier land? Thank you. Call it mine. Not a clown doll, not a marionette, not a chatty Cathy or little Debbie, not a dummy, not a Ken, not a Tom, Dick, or Harry, not a Barbie, Not a porcelain face or Raggedy Ann or Andy, but this nondescript, sexless thing, half naked, out of some old attic box of cobwebbed toys. Holes in its arms, deep scratches on its limbs. Pry the eyes open, they fall again, unblinking. It's as if some terror crushed its flat chest inwards. What is this, when all the other playthings are dusty but intact? Is that an accusing look on its troubled face? I think I'll call it mine. And I'll read one more. Every once in a while, I like to throw logic to the wind and write a whacked out nonsense poem. So here comes Mother Superior's Dream. Mother Superior sipped the libation, then spit it on his toes while he watched the flim-flams grow and Miss Polly chew a thorn. It was a creeporama, kids. It was peanut butter juice a go-go. Did you know there's still another bowl of pus? Oh, the jiggles in her head like the jelly on his balls. Spin the wheel again. Would you like to buy a bowel? Vanna, make it stop. Take the meat and run. Broil it online to a burn and save the sniffing glue. Learn the taste between dust and dirt. Learn to stuff them both. Pollute the vein and shock the mushrooms with a ham on rye, W-R-Y, no cheese. Matilda has a hang-up and flounders on the phone in the pool. She dumps the number 2 and it explodes. Hang on, the kink is gone. Drink it in, drink in the air, eat the clouds. Alice asks for snails and bulbous butterflies. She smells Mother Superior and the aroma of instant bliss. Clogs come and go like dogs, but a lightning bug will be in Peter, the boy, forever. Thanks, guys. Now let me get down intact.
We have an Instagram. I use Instagram. It's called White Noise GK.
Well, it was my first time and it was a lot of fun.
Thanks. Well, it's almost over, I promise. I'm gonna wrap us up. That's kind of how I like to end this off. Just so if anyone wants to leave beforehand, it's better if they leave beforehand. Before now. No, I'm kidding. So I have a few pieces. I've been in I hate saying this, but I've been in a bit of a writer's block recently in terms of writing poetry. I mean, my entire job is writing, but it's all very nonfiction. It's journalism. So it's a lot different from poetry, and my poetic brain has been a little stunted recently, which is okay. It's just the reality of life right now. Going through, as I said, I'm going through a move. A lot of things are happening, and I find that in times like that, I kind of take a step back. But that's one thing I love about doing this event, is that it forces me to be like, okay, I got to read something. And I always like to read something new. So what I have today is one old piece. So this is something that I wrote 2 years ago. And I've been thinking a lot about this poem recently because I wrote this poem after I discovered the beauty of this flower called columbines, which bloom this time of year. And they've since become kind of like, I would say, one of my favorite flowers. I think there's something very sacred about them, and I love that they grow kind of like weeds, but also they grow kind of everywhere, and they're also kind of hard to find, but you'll always see them either on the edges of trails or growing out of cliffs and stuff like that. They're just very beautiful, and they have these very thin, long stems, and these beautiful kind of, like, the flower itself is like a drooping coronet. And the colors of them are incredible. I just think that they're so beautiful every time I see them this time of year. It just makes me so happy. So I wrote this poem 2 years ago when I first kind of discovered these flowers. And it's not really about them at all, but it's called Columbine on Rock Face. Chubby cake in my lap like blanket of fine amber fur. I imagine I'm wrapped in sheepskin in Iceland, Scandinavian goddess. I close my eyes and picture it. Chilled, last of winter breeze enshrouding me, I sip Irish breakfast tea and dream an empty dream. Brick facade of soiled crimson, I am devout lover of the sundry shapes of color. We take picture against it as scapegoat for metalhead lover, our smiles soft, delicate, hiding the depth of our discretion. His hate-toiled eyes, astringent taste in my mouth, as he plods down synthetic fiber carpet glowing orange like clownfish. I, hiding the shiver within, am a beacon of vermilion, drinking the clementine-tinted wine of your presence. Thank you. I was just, so I was looking through some older stuff, and I guess I'll read this. I wasn't going to read it because I just think it's kind of silly, but this is another one I wrote around that same time, like 2 years ago. It's called Without Hesitation. I pick away at this flesh that creates me, pick until I've created piles of cellular ash that I smoke with ease. I fall down steps that play like vibrato on my frontal lobe, and I am cringing at every turn, and at each turn I see you. One day you just have to accept it. Things are not as they used to be. When I'd pound mint and sugar into glasses and pour heavy doses of laughter for us to sip leisurely. Plant matter stuck to my gums. All I want is my journal back. The one I left nestled in your pile of DFW type books. Your insufferable self. I said it since day one, but nobody wanted to believe me. Nobody. Not even the mailman believed me, and he was reading my letters. In another life, I teach at a state school to a bunch of doe-eyed girls who think I got style for a professor. I teach exclusively on the theory of Derrida, and by the end of the class, we're all making animal noises. There is no separation, only contemplation for the music that marauders hum. I sip the most astringent coffee, fear bubbling in my chest like I'm about to be interviewed by God himself. If he had your eyes, I would submit, without hesitation. I'd be on my knees, pleading for your love. Thank you. Really weird to read that because it's about like an old friend of mine who I was kind of falling out with at the time. But we're cool now. It's just like, the drama of being in your early 20s, right? Everything just seems so dramatic when it's really not. So this last one is a new one. It's recent. I wrote this one. Actually, I didn't write it at all. Sometimes I do this practice where I will just do voice to text, where I'll just put my the little microphone, you press the microphone button on your phone and it records your speech into text. And sometimes I'll do that while I'm driving or like walking or something. And I make poems like that just in real time. This is just the words coming out of my mouth. And I feel like sometimes it's just the most natural way for me to create. So I wrote this one while I was driving back upstate from New Jersey from my mom's. I called it A Ladybug as a Sign of Good Luck. The gas station attendant with a glob of mustard in the corner of his mouth, the series of cars, which had 3 7s and 3 8s one after another, the man laying on the side of the road, his motorcycle tipped over on the other side, cars stopped all down the highway just to catch a glimpse of something unmoving. We wait for my mother as she's in conversation with a man whose name is underneath every restaurant in town, as if they're not only owned by, created by, but the physical incarnation of himself. The stitches I miscounted, the pet store closed right before I got there, and in the sky an airplane. In the foreground, clouds with a soul glow through one open patch of heaven peeking out towards me. You called me at 1 a.m., but I, for once, was asleep. Last night, I slept a long sleep. I didn't remember one dream. Today at the grocery store, I picked you up a pack of blueberries, long after telling your mother Happy Mother's Day. I seem to have forgotten how much this day means to so many who aren't me, that I am the child of many women, and that I too have cared for like a mother. And this morning, running with you down the rail trail, we ran past caves that were so cold they made my sweat cling to my body, and we laughed as we pumped to the beat of our blood, and you said to me, you always know what to say. Sitting at the coffee shop, scented of strength, we spoke about which nuts were our favorite. We listed every nut and described why we did or did not like them. I said that pecans were my favorite. You said that hazelnuts were yours, and we both agreed that Brazil nuts are the most unsettling of the nut family. Just now, a trio of deer stare longingly out onto the highway. I think back to this morning when I saw many heads bursted on the side of the road, viscera spread in a radius out to where my tires trekked, and just before, my sister told me that she watched a bird get decapitated by the subway recently. She saw the wheels run over its body, and once it fully passed, she saw the head on one side of the track and the body on the other. She said this as chocolate dripped down onto her shirt from the espresso-flavored ice cream with crunchy chocolate chips laced throughout she was eating. Everywhere people are telling their mothers they love them, and everywhere people are without mothers, and everywhere we have loved, and everywhere we have lost, and everywhere we have spoken truth and lie and parted ways in some of the best and worst of circumstances. And yet there is nothing like witnessing the first columbine of the season, leaning out towards a flowing stream, jutting out from a rock-faced or just off the limit of the sidewalk, growing from a patch of weeds where columbines should not grow, growing from somewhere where seeds may once have been sprinkled by hands that may or may not have belonged to a mother or to the child of a mother or to someone who was lost or parted ways or even been witness to something they will never forget. Thanks. Well, that's it. Uh-huh. Okay. Sure. Gary's coming back on stage.
You could all be my witnesses in saying this. I'm 70 years old. I gotta fucking be a little more careful.
Yep. Yeah. Well. You, that is what it is. We're glad that you're okay. And I thank you all for coming and listening and performing and bearing witness to everything that we do here all the time. It's been 5 years, over 5 years now that I've been hosting this event here. And it's been a really crazy journey. I'm very grateful to the space and to David and to all of you who have been here since day one and all of you who just started coming. Happy spring, happy almost summer, happy almost June. We'll see you all in June. And on that note, White Noise signing off.